Everybody, ladies, gentlemen, patriots, we are here today because of a day of resistance that was called throughout the nation due to the executive orders that were passed by President Obama. A little bit of facts. The first executive order was actually done by George Washington on June 8th of 1789. But it specifically stated that it has to follow the Constitution and can't go against any of the laws. There's folks who are questioning whether or not the executive orders are part of that. I certainly have questions of the directives, but primarily that's the reason why we're here, is to express our dissatisfied with what is going on. But part of the other thing that I at least want to get out, we are here because we believe in the Constitution and we believe in the Bill of Rights. That being said, those of folks that have came here, I haven't seen anybody specifically, but if they are here and they're using their First Amendment right to speak about what they feel, I applaud them for being here. This is what our government and what our system was made based on. I am welcoming them to be here because an open, legitimate discussion is how our country came into the greatness that it is today. So the question is, why are we here? Why are we resisting? Primarily, we're here because our administration currently is telling you that you as a legal gun owner are not responsible. And the entire time that we've been having this open dialogue with the government and they've been suggesting all these bans, there has yet to be one ban that has been suggested, a bill that has been put into the legislation to actually remove the guns from the criminals. We all know that part of the problem is, and the majority of the problem is the laws that are already on the books are not effectively used. Most of the time they're not even disciplined in any way, shape, or form. And people need to understand there is language that is being used by folks to create the fear and the mongering that's going on, and we have to understand we can't use the language that they use. Gun control is people control. It has absolutely nothing to do with the legitimate actions of gun-owning individuals. Gun control. Let's give you a little bit of history. And just in the past 100 years, in Turkey in 1915, they went ahead and passed a registration and then a confiscation of weapons of legal gun owners. 1.5 million Armenians were then rallied up and executed. Russia, 1929, Stalin initiated the registration and then gun confiscation. And between 1929 to 1953, 20 million Russians were executed by their government. Germany, 1933, Hitler initiated registration and then proceeded a year later to confiscate weapons. Between 1933 to 1945, 13 million Jews and dissidents against his party were rallied up and executed. China, 1949, they initiated registration and confiscation. From 1949 to 1976, 20 million Chinese citizens were rallied up and executed. Why do we think the U.S. is immune to greed and the quest for power? It is purely shown by the actions of our government and our legislation that we're not immune. Folks think that it's just not going to happen here. It's happened in this century. It's happening now. Libya, Serbia. Matter of fact, we're even providing them full auto weapons so that they can defeat their government because of what they're doing to oppress them. But yet, we are not capable of having these weapons for our own self-defense. A little bit of history. Our revolution back in 1776 is one of the only revolutions in the world that when those who won came into power, they wrote a document that gave up their rights and gave up their powers and gave it to the people. We're the only one.
And it couldn't have happened without firearms.
Exactly.
There hadn't been a successful revolution in 400 years prior to ours.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, I do say this, I didn't put it in my notes. A lot of folks don't realize, I think there's only been one case in history where a revolution was conducted by the people peacefully for the better of the people and succeeded, and that was Egypt less than 3 years ago, and it almost exploded in their face. Otherwise, all revolutions throughout all time for the improvement for the people has came at the end of a weapon. That's just reality, folks. Change doesn't happen for the good of people by asking nicely. Now, at that point, they wrote the Bill of Rights, and the Bill of Rights, freedom of speech, freedom to assemble, freedom to defend yourself, is not given by a government. It's only confirmed by it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and provide a few quotes from our forefathers, because there's question of what people call for terminology. George Mason says the militia includes the whole of the people and some politicians. It's not the National Guard. The National Guard came 100 years later. The militia is the people. To promote liberty, it is essential that the whole body of the people always possess arms and be taught alike, especially when young. My daughter's here, she's only 15, she shoots better than I do. And how to use them. Richard Henry Lee. A free people not only be armed and disciplined, but they should have sufficient arms and ammunition to maintain a status of independence from any who may attempt to abuse them, which would include their own government. George Washington.